Has that worked?
Are you using two screens? Oh,
No, just the one.
yeah, you're still
Yeah.
in. You're not in presentation mode at the moment.
Okay, let me come out a sec.
Yeah, if you go into PowerPoint, just press F5 on your keyboard. That usually pops it into presentation mode.
Okay, has that done it?
Yeah, you got to share it again now, probably.
Sorry, everyone, for this technical glitch.
I'm learning what buttons to press, so don't worry.
We'll give time for everyone else to join at least.
So yeah, if you just press F5 now across the top.
Yeah, I've done F5. Still
Okay.
not.
If you come down to yeah, that one, the go across one, that one there, yeah.
Yeah, it's that one I'm clicking, and then it just doesn't seem to expand on the screen, does it?
No.
That's strange. Let's we could try the old way. At the moment, can you just see the one chart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully everyone see that well enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I will upload the charts anyway on the ICW Members Hub after the presentation for anyone that can't see these. So hopefully we'll kick off. How many people have we got on the line, Alan? Because I can't see how many attendees we've got.
Let's have a look.
24, something like that.
Yeah, it's about 34. So
Okay, great.
I think we're safe to go. Other people will join in as the case.
Brilliant. Okay. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining the Share and Learn today. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Lois and I'm from a company called Leidos. And I've been with the ICW now for probably around 8 years and became a fellow last year. So that was great. And I'm also part of one of the special interest groups, which is the Professional Development Special Interest Group. And we're here today to talk about mentoring because we've been working on a cross-company mentoring scheme that we're now really pleased to launch. So I'm here today to tell you about the scheme. We've also got a guest speaker today called Mick Whiteley, who is also from Leidos and heads up our talent and development team. I will let Mick introduce himself when he comes on shortly. So thank you to Mick for joining. I think the session today is probably only going to take about 45 minutes, depending how many questions we get. It probably won't take up the whole time. Just moving on to the learning objectives today. So Mick is just going to go over mentoring from a general perspective. He'll then hand over to me and I'll talk to you about the cross-company mentoring scheme and how that's going to work. We'll talk about how the scheme will benefit you potentially as a mentor or as a mentee and how you can get involved. And then just go over a few tips for mentors and mentees, just as a recap, really. And then hopefully we've got a number of the mentors on the line. So we've actually got 13 mentors that have come forward so far. Not all of them could be here today, but I reckon we should have 9 or 10 of them on. And they're just going to spend 1 or 2 minutes introducing themselves so that if we do have some potential mentees on the line, we get a chance to meet the mentors. And then we'll just wrap up with some Q&A at the end. So on that note, I am absolutely delighted to welcome Mick Whiteley to our ICW community. Mick's probably one of the most collaborative people I've ever worked with in Leidos, so he should fit right in. So Mick, I will pass over to you if that's okay.
Thank you, Lois. Good afternoon all. Thanks for the invite as well. Fantastic to be able to engage this afternoon. I am the talent development lead, but actually for most of my working career, I've been a software engineer. So I've come across to talent development. The stars have aligned and I'm now doing a role that I've sort of developed over the last few years. So great to talk to you. Leidos, enormous technology company, really based in the UK for the last 10 years or so, based on an enormous logistics contract. So we do lots of diverse contracts, but we've got a big logistics one. I run, manage and promote our UK mentoring scheme, and I'm a massive fan of mentoring based on some academic studies, based on my experience. Pretty keen on collaboration as well, so it's fantastic we've got the standard, and I do like talking to people, so again, thank you. I passionately believe about the power of mentoring, not only because of the good that it does, but also you might tell from my accent that I'm a Yorkshireman. It probably offers some of the best free training that you can get out there. Free training, free talent development, all for nothing, just with a little bit of time investment. So I do like that aspect of it as well. Thank you, Lois. If you click onto the next slide, I'm going to start with a little bit of a definition. So mentoring is a development relationship to help one person and another in making significant transitions in knowledge, work, or thinking. I use it in a business perspective, and the one we use from Leidos is all around mentoring in the business environment. That's not taken away from the social value piece that mentoring can do and the good that it can do in the community. The particular one I like there, nowadays you can almost self-teach anything. You can go on YouTube, how to change a light bulb on a Citroen, how to do this, e-learning, opportunities thrown at absolutely everybody. The difference with that and mentoring is about that mentoring relationship, the development relationship. And I can remember Mr. Woodman from Intake High School in Leeds at 16 years old helping with my O-level resit for history. That gives my age away. I did do O-levels, so it gives you an indication of how old I am. Also, in my early Air Force career, I did 22 years in the RAF, a really true mentoring relationship with a really wise warrant officer Ron Tully. Stopped me leaving the Air Force early doors, mentored me, gave me some developmental areas, transferred some of his great knowledge. So I ended up doing a full 22-year degree. With mentoring, I would love everybody either to be a Ron, because he was a fantastic human being, or to have access to someone like Ron to get that mentoring piece, that development area. On the second slide there, this should be animated, but it's fine. We can just talk through it. Mentoring is supported by a vast amount of academia. I first came across it around about 2020. In terms of understanding exactly what it was, I did a master's degree with the Open University on lifelong learning, and we spent many hours studying educational relationships, one of those being the mentoring relationship. And from the graphic in the middle, the 20% exposure, where it's learning from others, is where mentoring fits. The 70% one, you come to work and you learn via osmosis. By being exposed to new environments, you learn. The 20% exposure in the middle, where you want that specific knowledge exchange and you do it in a more formal environment, this is where mentoring absolutely fits in brilliantly. The model at the bottom, just preparing for that last week, I remember the model there for Zachary's model. It's one of the models I remember on mentoring because it was simple. I didn't understand a lot of the others. So I used to use for Zachary's model. I can remember doing a bit of thesis on there. The one thing I would like to say about mentoring, it should be fairly seamless and it should be absolutely inclusive in your organization. So if you offer an exec mentoring scheme, and all our senior leadership team within Leidos in the UK are asked to be mentors for other people. But from that, we also absolutely offer an early careers mentoring scheme. In fact, we offer quite a few different schemes, including reverse mentoring, should be available throughout the whole organization, make it as inclusive as possible. Of course, a little play on Savile Row there, make it tailored. So your chief exec mentor might be slightly different to your graduate mentor, tailor it, but absolutely make sure that it's something available for absolutely everybody. Thanks, Lois. In terms of mentoring, this has come from the website. The National Mentoring Day is on the 26th of October every year, and we use this resource, and this is how we sort of do a campaign within Leidos to get people refocused on mentoring. Some of the activities on there speak for themselves, but outside of that, some of the successes that I've noted for myself and for the team that we've noted in the business. Effective mentoring, fantastic for assisting your new hires or anybody with a job transition. So you're going to transfer, we find it a lot with technical people coming up, maybe 10, 11 years as a technical role, transferring across to maybe a project management role, get them a senior project manager as a mentor, makes that transition so much easier. If you've got a big change program, a big transition program, and somebody's done a big transition before, mentor relationship, absolutely brilliant for that. For myself, back in my Air Force days, career advice, where do I want to go with a career? Again, somebody a little bit more senior, maybe you want to go project management, maybe you want to stay technical, getting a mentor in that sphere is absolutely brilliant for helping people decide where they want to go. And as you can see from the graphic in the middle, setting direction and setting success is key. Leadership, absolutely, leadership advice, management guidance. We have a little scheme in Leidos as well around technical skills. So if you wanted a real quick intervention, you've done your e-learning, you can't find a resource, we've got a Workday database where you can say, I need some Java advice, and it allows you to find a mentor who's a little bit more senior. So again, you've got that different type of relationship. One that can be missed a little bit that we're trying to promote a lot in Leidos is reverse mentoring. So what can a graduate actually come into a business and teach maybe your most senior engineer who did their software engineering, their infrastructure, their computer science degree 30 years ago? So can that junior member mentor the senior member on what's going on currently within education programs? Or somebody joining from another company at a more junior level, can they educate and mentor more senior people, passing on that experience? It doesn't have to be quite a hierarchical linear solution. So some of the real key things of mentoring that we try to promote in the business, in terms of just on the last slide for myself, why focus on mentoring? Sorry, a little bit of it's hidden there. It fits in the 70-20 approach. So that 20% formal bit in the middle is fantastic. The middle box there is all around inclusivity. So making sure it's inclusive. So focus on it. You've got an inclusive environment. I'm sure the Institute for Collaborative Working stresses inclusivity and diversity all of the time. For ourselves, mentoring's also got a clear alignment. We have 6 values in Leidos. The 2 that we really think that mentoring assists with are collaboration, quite topical for today, and absolutely the inclusion. As an ex-engineer, I know engineers like metrics. So I won't click on it now, but in the box in the middle where it says metrics provide evidence, there's a fantastic resource via the National Mentoring Day website around metrics associated with what mentoring can achieve. Things like 60% of businesses report an increase in productivity due to mentoring. Employees who receive mentoring are 5 times more likely to get promotion. And then big one at the bottom, 71% of Fortune 500 companies use a mentoring program, and 75% of executives credit their mentors. So there's some hard facts for people who go, okay, it's just a chat with your friend at work. It's not. If you set the boundaries, and what we do in Leidos is we've got a document, a guideline document, things like how do you start the mentoring, how do you close the mentoring, confidentiality, how often are you going to meet, all detailed in there to get the most of that mentoring relationship. Just to close for myself, I've mentioned it in a business sense because that's what I run here, but actually outside of the business world in terms of social value, it's also a fantastic method for helping disadvantaged people to come in and to give them the confidence, to give them some skills to take that step and move themselves forward. Fantastic for diversity and inclusion within our society. That's why we do mentoring at Leidos. That's my thoughts on Leidos based on academia. I'm going to hand back to yourself, Lois. I think you're going to do some of the detail around the ICW bits, but many thanks for the opportunity to talk to you today.
Great, thank you, Mick. Okay, so moving on then. So now we're here to talk about the ICW new cross-company mentoring scheme. So this has been worked on by the Professional Development Special Interest Group. It has taken us a while to launch, but really we wanted to wait until we had a good quorum of mentors come forward, and we've now got 13 people, which is just amazing. It's being offered to all ICW members, whether you want to come forward as a mentor, as a mentee. So regardless of your membership status, whether you're from the executive network or an individual member, you can get involved. It does come on a first come, first served basis though. And the reason I want to mention this is, all of our mentors are going to have different capacity constraints. So some of the mentors that I've spoken to feel that they can only take on 1 mentee at a time. Another one of our mentors that I've spoken to is happy to take up to 4 mentees. So it will vary between mentors. It will be down to the mentor and the mentee to decide things like how frequently you want to meet, whether you want to meet face to face or perhaps virtually through Teams or so on. And Mick mentioned earlier about a Leidos guide. Well, we've also got one for this scheme as well. So if you log on to the ICW website and go into the Members Hub, and you'll need your ICW website log on to get onto the Members Hub. But on there's a new area about the cross-company mentoring scheme. And on there's a booklet that you can download, and you can edit that, and you can document things in your first session between mentor and mentee, such as who's going to set the meetings up, how frequently are you going to meet. So I would encourage you all to take a look at that. So you might be thinking, well, how is this scheme going to benefit me? So if you're on the line today because you're looking to become a potential mentee, then I suspect, especially if you're from a large organisation, you might already have access to an existing mentoring programme. A lot of us will have access to it. But I find you don't always see someone within your own organisation that you feel would be a good fit for you, given where you want to go career-wise. Or it might be that you've had a number of mentors within your organisation, but you want to try someone new. And I know from my experience with ICW events, you know, I've talked to so many people at the events, either the speakers or perhaps through the coffee or the lunch breaks, who've been so inspirational. And I've always thought, oh, I'd love that person to be my mentor. You know, I wish I worked with that person. And so this just gives us another avenue and more options outside of our organisation from a mentoring perspective. From a mentor perspective, there are an endless amount of benefits to being a mentor. Obviously, there's the personal satisfaction of helping someone outside of your own organisation within our wider ICW community. If you're thinking of becoming a fellow of the Institute in the future, then being on the mentor scheme will contribute towards your fellowship if that's something you want to do later date. Equally, from a continuing professional development standpoint, and Joe Potter of the Professional Development Group will be able to give you more information about this, but if you're looking to gain points through CPD, this will also contribute to that. Obviously, it looks good from a volunteering perspective. It's great for your CV and good to show to your own organisation that you're doing stuff outside of your immediate organisation to help your wider network. Networking opportunities. So one of the biggest feedbacks that we've had from the Members Day is how much members love the networking opportunities. So this just gives you another opportunity to network with other people outside of your organisation. Reverse mentoring. So Mick mentioned reverse mentoring, and you might find during the course of the engagement that naturally a level of reverse mentoring happens where the mentee is mentoring the mentor, particularly if there's some form of feedback loop that's happening between you. Leadership and management skills. I think probably all of our mentors already have absolutely brilliant leadership and management skills, but there's always room for improvement for everyone. And confidence and communication skills. I think this one is particularly relevant to potential mentors and mentees. And I think over the last couple of years, you know, we've been in lockdown, perhaps we haven't communicated so regularly with people, we're having to communicate virtually. Some of us are still getting used to that. Case in point, not getting the presentation in presentation mode today. But this will just help, you know, enhance your communication skills and build confidence, particularly for the mentees. Okay, potential mentors. So as I said, we've got 13 mentors so far. So thank you to all of you. They're all brilliant. I've spoken to them all and I'm just so pleased to have you on board. If you are on the line because you're interested in becoming a mentor and haven't signed up yet, then please reach out to me. If you don't have my details directly, and I am happy to share them, but you can contact me through Alan at the ICW. We will ask you to just provide us with a short bio and a photograph that we'll upload to the ICW website. It will only be on the Members Hub, so it'll only be other ICW members that can see it. The main thing is think about how much time you want to commit, because what we don't want is anyone overcommitting and then not being able to meet their commitment. So if it's just an hour, a quarter you can spare, that's brilliant. If it's a couple of hours a month, that's also brilliant. There's no rules around that. That's totally down to you as a mentor to decide how much time you can offer us. And the last point there, I just thought it was worthy of a mention that the mentoring programme isn't meant to be consultancy in ISO 44001. So naturally, I think that's going to come up because we're all very interested in collaborative working. So I don't think we'll be able to avoid talking about it. But it's not meant to be consultancy. Really, this is about supporting individuals with their career growth and their professional growth. Okay, I've just copied over some tips from the ICW website that we've put on there for our mentors. So first one's be yourself. I think that goes without saying, but from a mentee perspective, they've chosen you because of your skills, your experience and your character. So, be yourself. Be clear on the boundaries at the start of mentoring. So if you can only spare 1 hour a quarter and it's a virtual call, just be clear with your mentee so that they can then respect your boundaries as well. Avoiding multitasking, and I find this one's relevant to me. I'm a bit guilty of this, that especially in virtual meetings, you get a text from a client, it's really easy to get distracted. But as this is a one-on-one relationship, it's important to stay focused on that. And you can use active listening techniques. You can use obviously non-verbal cues to help show that you understand what your mentee's saying. I wasn't going to go in today as to what I mean by active listening techniques. I'm sure we're all aware of that. If you need some support in that though, what we've also done is on the Members Hub, we have included a number of links to TED Talks and podcasts and so on that you can get access to support you with any communication support you need. But just one thing I have found helpful is it's really important to play back and echo what you've heard your mentee say. And I think that really helps show an understanding and helps get clarity if there's any disconnects there. Setting the scene for the next session, I think this is really important. I've had a number of mentors in the past, and by session 3 or 4, the conversation starts drying up a bit, you lose focus, you forget why you were going to meet and have a mentoring engagement. So it really helps set the next session and gives the mentee time to prepare for that session, to set that previous session. Using praise and positive feedback, I think that goes without saying. It will help build the confidence of your mentee, but also be willing to share constructive feedback. If there's some things that perhaps your mentee needs to be aware of, equally the mentee needs to be prepared to receive it and have that open conversation. And showing commitment. And this goes back to my earlier point that we don't want anyone to overcommit in terms of their time that they've got to offer to this scheme, because it's really important that you obviously keep to the sessions once they're arranged. Potential mentees. So if we've got some potential mentees on the line, then by all means you will meet some of the mentors today in a minute when we flip over to meet the mentor. If they're not here today, go on the Members Hub, download their bios. I'll keep updating the site as we have new mentors come forward, so make sure you go on the site to get the latest list. Think about your goals and think about your professional development and where you want to go so you can find the match that's right for you. And if the mentee take up is quite slow, what we might do later in the year is organise a speed mentoring event. So it is a bit like speed dating for anyone that's done speed dating before, but we'll get the mentors and the mentees just to rotate around. We'll probably have it at the back end of another ICW session, just so they can meet. We've actually had 4 mentees already come forward, so we might find we don't need to hold such a session, but if we do, then we will do. So tips for potential mentees if you're thinking of coming on board to the scheme. It's really important to identify your goals, short-term and long-term goals. And the reason for that really is you need to look at the mentor list and think about how might that mentor help me with my goals and objectives. And if you're not sure what your goals are, I always think just conducting a SWOT analysis on yourself really helps tease out, what are your weaknesses? What things do you need to work on? So go in there with a good idea of what you want to get out of the mentoring relationship. Respecting personal boundaries of your mentor. I think that goes without saying. If the mentor's only got an hour a month, then, we need to keep to that. They are giving up their own time in a lot of cases to support you. And that's why it goes back to what I said earlier. It's really important up front to get documented how frequently you're going to meet, who's going to set the meetings up. We would typically encourage the mentee to be responsible for that, just so that there's no misunderstandings later on. Also think about disengagement, and all of us are familiar with exit planning and how important that is in a relationship. Similarly, think about, well, what are you going to do at the end of the engagement? So you're just going to have the mentoring for 6 months. What are you going to do afterwards? Are you going to meet every year for a coffee, just at the ICW events? Have a think about that. Showing your appreciation. I'm sure everyone would be very appreciative of the relationship that they've got with their mentor, but keeping to your commitments, making sure you attend the sessions and you prepare for them will just help show that appreciation. So on that note, I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm going to let our mentors come forward and introduce themselves. What I will do is I'll stop sharing my screen. So for the actual mentors, if you could take yourself off mute when we get to you. I'm just going to go in alphabetical order, just for ease of getting through to you. If you want to use camera, that's great, but I know some people are having issues with using the camera today, so no problem. If you don't want to come on camera, that's totally fine. So on that note, our first mentor in alphabetical order would be Bill Cotter. So could Bill Cotter please come on and introduce himself?
Hi everybody, I'm named Bill Cotter. I've been a member of the ICW for about 10 years. I've worked coming from an M&E background. I've worked in organisations at all levels. I've got a great understanding of that connectivity between different levels and how collaborative structures and systems work at all those different levels. I've implemented BS 11,000 for organizations. I've transitioned them to 44,001. I've also aligned their business strategies, systems, and people and culture to meet those objectives. I'm also a member of the European Mentoring and Coaching Council. I am an accredited mentor and coaching practitioner. I also accredited with the Emotional Capital report, which is a psychometric tool to enhance emotional capital and awareness. I've always worked at developing people. This kind of comes natural to me, no matter when I'm just kind of thinking about my career there. I've always done it. And even when, you know, very junior within my career and just listening to Lois there and reverse mentoring, it was just kind of one of the things that was there. You just kind of help people. I've always had that ability to see and register and be aware of that and help where I can. So I look forward to meeting any mentees. I think this initiative is great, and I'll pass you on to the next mentor.
Great, thank you, Bill. So next on the list, Stu Crawford.
Thank you, Lois. Good afternoon, everyone. Fantastic to see so many of you today, albeit virtually. So I'm Stu Crawford. I work for NATS. I've been involved with the ICW for more than 12 years now. And I think back in the day, I actually had hair when we first started working with the ICW. So that shows what a journey I've been on. It's been a fantastic journey, and I was finally honoured last year to be made a fellow of the ICW, which I'm absolutely delighted and still getting used to that and all that means. Career background, it is quite vast. It spans public, military and private sector. I've held a variety of leadership roles, but the one commonality with those roles is success has always been dependent on effective collaboration, and I genuinely and sincerely mean that. For most of my career, I've either been a mentee, a mentor, or both. And like Mick and others, I'm passionate and I love extolling the benefits of mentoring. But interestingly, whenever I've been a mentor, and I don't know if the other folks can resonate with this, I've always felt like I've got more from it than the mentees, and I've learned more from the mentees than perhaps they could ever wish to take away messages from myself. A broad range of activities and experience from implementing successfully and unsuccessfully matrix organizational design, and having key roles in successful and unsuccessful merger and acquisition activities. Just very quickly, personal, because I do think that's important. I've got 2 kids, 3 great grandkids. Why do I mention that? Because even at my age and in my dotage, I find myself learning more from my grandkids than they could ever wish to learn from me about me as a person. I genuinely mean that. I'm passionate about certain charities. I'm a self-confessed sports bore, and to be quite frank with you, I don't always take life as seriously as perhaps I should. But the reason I'm here today is I will be absolutely delighted to support this activity for ICW. And I look forward to meeting as many of you as I possibly can. Thank you, Lois.
Fabulous, thanks, Stu, and nice background you got there as well.
You like that? Very corporate.
Very
Very
nice.
corporate.
He's
That's
very
as
on
serious as I
message,
get, by
Lois.
the way.
Okay, next up we have Mike Gawthorne.
As I try and find where the microphone button is. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mike Gawthorne. I've been in the recruitment, talent and development space now for 25 years now. I'm a failed engineer, couldn't do it, so I fell into talent and recruitment instead. I started a business, I was a founder and one of the majority shareholders in an organisation from 2000 through to November 2020 when I exited through a management buyout. That business went from 3 people to 225 people. I was the chief exec of that group of companies, and it was always based around talent and development and the recruitment space. So I've been very much around that area, especially within the STEM arena. Since November 2020, I have now been working on a consultative basis supporting a number of different organisations with supply chain management, collaboration, partnerships, coaching and advisory roles, basically supporting not only small companies but also large organisations as well. And I'm hugely passionate, along with the other guys and girls I mentioned so far, about people development. So much so that I'm an advisor and an active member of EBP South, which is Employment Business Partnership, which is all about careers coaching for children. And I would say, once again, in terms of being a mentor, I have learned more in the last 18 months around Gen Z and the future workforce and the trends that we can expect to come through than I have done since being in business for the previous 25 years. It's been unbelievable. So I'm hugely passionate about giving back, and now that I have more flexibility in my working week, I spend a lot of time coaching, mentoring, and supporting people. Outside of work, as Stu mentioned earlier, from my personal point of view, 3 children, 3 boys, all sports nuts. So weekend football and rugby pitches you'll find me by. South Coast based, and yeah, I give it my all. Everything I do, I put 100% into it. So for anyone who's looking to have a mentor that's interested in the careers piece, coaching around business, whatever it may be, I pretty well turn my hands to most things. Thank you, and thanks, Lois, for reaching out to me.
Fabulous, thank you, Mike. Okay, I saw him earlier hiding in the background. David Hawkins, is he with you, Alan, still?
Lois, I'm afraid he's had to go for
Okay.
reasons that we all understand. But
fine.
he wishes everybody well, and he's looking forward to his mentees.
Thanks, Alan. And Andrew Hopper from Skanska also couldn't join us today, but sends his regards. And actually, not only has he joined the mentoring scheme, he's brought 2 mentees with him already. So he's already underway with the mentoring, which is great. So next on the list then would be Louise Jones.
Hi, apologies if my webcam cuts out. Hi, I'm Louise Jones. I manage and implement ISO 44001 for WSP UK, along with being a chartered quality professional who does quality on rail and road projects. I recently just finished a year of, well, I'm still working there. I just got a Toronto, I've been out in Toronto last week, so I've got jet lag, so please excuse me. I just put in ISO 44001 on the On-Track Alliance Union Station Enhancement Project, and we got no minors, so that was really good news. We had BM Trada, who were great. I'd never worked with them before, and they're highly recommended by the ICW. Yeah, I manage and implement ISO 44000 as part of my job. I work with lots of different companies. I am originally a chartered quality professional, so I guess I come from the quality side of looking at 44000. I love the standard. I think it really helps. It really helps people sort of, I don't know, look at themselves in a different way and how they're working with clients and how they work with each other in internal departments. Yeah, I've mentored 2 people to chartership at the Chartered Quality Institute. I've mentored 2 members to full the ICW. I am on my personal note, I'm a single cat lady in central London who likes film photography and going to gigs in Camden, even though I'm probably far too old to be there. And yeah, I think also I've had reverse mentoring. I have to say, I learned so much from younger people, and you know, I've got I regularly ring up someone who calls themselves calls herself my work daughter, and get a check-in from the younger people on how I'm going. But yeah, I think it's really important. And, you know, even if nobody wants to be my mentee, I look forward to meeting everybody at a conference. Because going to conferences, I feel, is hugely important for mentees, for new members. You get to meet everybody and you get to hear from all kinds of people. Because otherwise I'd be stuck, I'd only hear from engineering professional services and not know about all the other industries that are out there. It's always really fun. Thanks for having me along.
Great, thanks, Louise. So I'm next on the list. So I know you probably all know me quite well by now, but just a bit of my background. So I'm with Leidos. Previous to that, I was with Lockheed Martin. I'm a commercial manager during my day job, so currently working with the Home Office, and used to work with NATS before that. So certainly have a lot of experience in terms of things like collaborative contracting. And on the side, I look after the ISO 44001 standard for Leidos as well. I am a fellow of the Institute, obviously been involved with ICW for a number of years. I have been a mentor and a mentee, so I've got lots of experience in that. I think I'm, you know, obviously keen to be a mentor, but in particular, if you're interested in how you can sort of mix the lines between commercial contracting and collaboration, which sometimes can be a bit of a minefield, then hopefully can support some people in that. So yeah, hope to meet you soon. So that's me, and next is Claire McDonald, if Claire's on the line.
I am, Lois, thanks. Hi everybody, Claire McDonald, I work for NATS. I've been a member of the ICW now just over 5 years. When I joined the supply chain function in NATS, I've been with NATS about 30 plus years now, so bit of a varied background. So started off in HR, where I was responsible for recruiting our air traffic controllers, and then moved into our training and development areas, and then moved into our business and finance teams, which was a complete pivot from what I was used to. And yeah, done all sorts of things within NATS, but there's been a key theme, a bit like what Stu Crawford alluded to, which is everything we've done and done well has been through collaboration. And, you know, I'm a firm believer that if you put the effort into those relationships and you build them on a basis of trust and looking for joint value, you know, the ISO framework gives you that to really, really be clear about what you're going into. In terms of my mentorees and mentoring experience, I've been a mentor in NATS for just over 15 years. And I really, really am passionate about, you know, doing, not just giving, you know, somebody something for them, but actually getting something back. And I think it's really important that that reverse mentoring is something that we're really conscious of as we go into this program. I think it's great that the ICW and through the special interest groups we're in this position today. I think this will be a success as long as we all put the effort in, and I think people need to just remember that it is a commitment, and I think Lois, you did well to remind us of what we can personally commit to. But I'm really looking forward and really wanting to encourage people to just reach out, and even if it doesn't have the longevity, at least you're kind of making those connections and starting to explore whether a mentoring relationship is something you're after. So looking forward to it, and yeah, well done Lois and team.
Great, thank you, Claire. I saw him on the line earlier. Tim Mowat, are you there?
Yeah, certainly am, Lois. Hey everyone. Yeah, so I'm Tim Mowat. I've just stopped a 40-year career in the defence and security sector. We ended up working for Leonardo as one of their commercial directors. I think I've been doing in that career, I think pretty much every program I ever worked on had an element of collaboration in it. And a lot of the multinational collaboration or collaborative programs were a fantastic training ground. So it's something which I've been very passionate about for some time. I've worked with the Institute for probably about 13 or 14 years. And last February, I became their new CEO. So I think it is the whole of this mentoring program is so in tune with the changes that we are currently rolling out in the Institute. So I'm actually thrilled to bits that this is happening. And so thank you very much, Lois. I think it's been terrific effort from that SIG. It's been really good. So thank you.
Great, thank you, Tim. Okay, and next on the list, we've got Richard Smith.
Hello everyone, Richard Smith from Babcock. I'm the head of quality for the marine sector in warships. I live in Cornwall. And I work out of the Royal Dockyard in Devonport. You know, I've been with the Institute now probably 5 years, and that's been a journey, a bit of a rock and roll journey with implementing ISO 44001 in our business. I started with the BS 11000 probably about 6 or 7 years ago, and the switchover. And this has really been a journey about education of the application of the standard and the framework. So we've been in quite a I'd say highly collaborative environment with the Ministry of Defence and the Royal Navy for years now. I've been in this role 8 years, but the value that the standard is bringing and sharing that knowledge across the business, and one of those icons behind me you can probably see is about collaborate, and that's one of our key purpose and principles in our business now, and sharing you know, these collaborative framework across the business has been a huge challenge. We've gone international now with some of our other sectors in trying to share the benefits of not only the standard, but the framework of the international standards to deliver our business. So I sit on the advisory council. I'm also the lead for the 44001 SIG. I do very much put my quality hat on too much when it comes to standards. But for me, this is about the application of a standard that brings the benefits of the business, the knowledge, a lot of those keywords that we use out there in the business. So my core role really is managing the relationship as the deputy SER between the parties. And I look forward to the mentoring. I've been mentoring graduates for quite a while now. I'm starting to raise the awareness and the benefits of 44001 more to our graduates and apprentices as they come through the business. So I really look forward to the opportunity of working with anybody. So please reach out through the ICW where I can help. Thank you, Lois.
Fabulous, thank you, Richard. So the next one would be Gail Stevenson from Morgan Sindall, but she couldn't join us today, but she did text me this morning just to say hello, and also she's really keen to get stuck in and mentor. So, you know, do check out her bio on the website if you're interested in having Gail as one of your mentors. So next on the list, then we'll move on to Bill Taylor.
Oh, thanks, Lois. Firstly, I'm really delighted to be part of the IC mentoring scheme. I think it's a brilliant idea. And as I really do help people, teams, organisations to operate at the very best. And that's what I really love doing. I think my experience and journey, I'm told is quite extensive, and I'd like to share some of that with you so you can get to know me. Potted history. I'd like to start really because I think it's important to say at the outset, I was written off as a child, as a schoolboy, but a brilliant teacher switched my lights on. Absolutely brilliant teacher switched my lights on. I passed my GCSEs and I got to be an apprentice in electronic engineering. I worked for Sony. I fixed TVs. And again, another teacher switched my lights on a bit further. And I joined the Air Force as an engineering officer. An amazing experience in the Air Force. And my last job was an IPT leader for a procurement of all the avionic and electronic warfare equipment. So I was a user and customer of defence equipment, and it really shaped how I went forward. So after leaving the Air Force, after 20 years, I became a BD director, I was a managing director, and I was a group vice president of a very large defence PLC. And I ran defence manufacturing companies in the UK, the US, and in Australia. And I exported to over 40 countries across the world. So lots of travel, lots of experience. At the same time, I was also chairman of a training and simulation SME company, and I was also the director of of an aerospace trade association. In that time, I formed several alliances, clusters of SMEs, and I also became a visiting professor at Cranfield University at their Defence Academy. And at that point, I decided to take some time out. I was a bit tired. I reflect on my work experience and issues and problems, and you know, when I reflected, it was fairly obvious to me that most of the issues that my colleagues had, that I had, were around relationships. And I decided to do something about it. I became an executive coach. I invested in myself, became an executive coach and a consultant specializing in relationships, collaboration, and later joined the ICW as a member, now as an associate director, and now a fellow, of course. I've managed over hundreds of rail and defence intervention programs to restore failing programs and relationships. I've trained numerous companies on business winning, capture, commercial applications, CRM, SRM, etc., etc. And since the introduction of BS 11,000, 44,001, I've coached and mentored over 45 companies to achieve certification in a defence, construction, FM, rail, highways, nuclear, ports, etc., sectors across the businesses. And this included, for me, probably one of the biggest journeys was the DIO, where I developed their management system and the collaboration training specific to their needs in terms of infrastructure, FM and construction. Then over the 6 years, I probably trained and I would say mentored over 2,000 of the DIO staff in general training at practitioner level, but also how to assess collaboration bids and how to carry out theme-based internal auditing. As pro bono work, because I do love doing some pro bono work, I've mentored and coached 3 postgraduate students in their MSc theses involving collaboration aspects, and they all passed with flying colours, which is pretty good. I'm pleased about that. I am the UCAS ISO 44001 technical assessor and expert, where I support the UCAS accreditation of certifying bodies to certify against organisations against 44,001. So I audit the auditing organisations, which is a bit fun. And I'm leading on the ICW involvement in the PFI handback programme, and I have provided advice to the Cabinet Office and the NAO and the IPA in this respect. And I guess I coordinate across several ICW SIGs, the 44,001 that Richard's looking after, the Collaborative Leaders SIG, and the Public Procurement one. So lots of experience, folks, lots of lessons learned. I've been married for over 47 years. I have 2 40-year-old children and lots of grandchildren. From a proud 11+ boy from South London, I did pretty well and I've learned a lot. So let me know how I can help you. Thanks, Lewis.
Fabulous. Thank you, Bill. Glad to have you on the team. And last but not least, Vernon Wells. Is Vernon on the line?
Yeah, I'm here, Lo. So thank you for the opportunity to join this group of amazing people. So glad to be volunteered to be a mentor. So what do I say about myself? Just reflecting on what everyone else has said, really. So engineer by trade, going all the way back to when I first started work. I've been with Leidos and its legacy companies for 22 years. I guess my experience is really around is working in the middle of the relationship, right? So there's other folks on the calls that know me very well from that relationship. So it's the kind of nuts and bolts of keeping that relationship going, keeping that relationship fresh, and moving those relationships forward. So, you know, if there's anyone out there that is particularly interested in, you know, the nuts and bolts of keeping a relationship fresh, keeping it going, adding value, you know, then maybe I'm one of the folks to talk to. I guess in my personal life, I've got one daughter who's 19. I don't have any grandchildren, at least I don't have any that I'm aware of. I'm not an avid sports person, but I absolutely love my Formula One. Mike knows the particular car make I like. I also, in my personal life, I volunteer in a soup kitchen, which I find incredibly grounding. So again, you know, I like giving back. I am really touched to be involved in this, in this activity, and hopefully, you know, I can mentor folks out there that are particularly interested in the area where I think I can help them. It's pretty much me, Lo, I think.
Fabulous.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vernon. Okay, so that's all of our mentors for today. Obviously, we will get more mentors that join the scheme, and as new mentors come on, I will update the website just so we can keep on top of new mentors. So that's the end of the presentation today. We will now move over to a Q&A for anyone that's got any, maybe for myself or for Mick or for any of the mentors or for any of the ICW management teams. So I'll just pause there if anyone's got any questions. No? Okay. Okay, well, thank you all for joining today. I think, you know, from day one, this scheme won't be perfect like any new initiative involving humans. You know, it is going to be process improvement all the time. So if you are getting involved as a mentor or as a mentee, and there are things that you need support on, things that can be improved, please do reach out to me. We do really want this to be a success. And as I said earlier, if we do not have much uptake on mentees coming forward, we will look to hold an event later on in the year. And going by Louise's comments earlier, it sounds like an event anyway with some networking opportunities between us all is probably worthwhile doing anyway. So watch this space for that. So on that note, thanks again, everyone, for joining. Thank you to all our amazing mentors. And I hope to all see you face to face very soon.
Thank you, Lois. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lois.
Thanks, Lois.
Thank you.
Cheers, everybody.
Thanks to Lois and Alan for organising. Thank you for organising.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lois. Thank you ever so much.
See you. Bye-bye.
See you later. Take care.